Watch and burn.
Okay, wait, I've completely lost my train of thought. I'm supposed to be talking about Michael Haneke's The Seventh Continent, and now I can't think of anything. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. You know, you'd think after doing like 10,000 of these, I'd be all ordered and I'd have everything all figured out, but I don't. I don't have anything figured out. So I am attempting to discuss Michael Haneke's first feature film from 1989, and that is The Seventh Continent. What this tells the story of is a family of three people, two parents, Georg and Anne, names that he will recycle over and over again through a number of his films, and their daughter Evie, again a name he will continue to use throughout the rest of his filmography on and off. And they just can't hack life anymore. After Anne's mom has passed and her brother, it hit her brother so hard, and she just starts to see the fallacy of it all, and she starts to just kind of lose her zest. And George and Evie, the kid, believe it or not, feel the same way. And so the family decides to kill themselves, but they decide to do it in the most grandiose way possible by clearing out all their bank accounts. And financially, they were doing incredibly well too. But they close out their bank accounts, and they go out and they buy a bunch of power tools. And then they buy a bunch of like wedding type food to have this giant feast. And they decide to cook all the food, of course. They eat all the food. Then they grab the power tools and they completely destroy all of their earthly possessions, including a rather lengthy scene where Anne is absolutely destroying their clothes with a giant pair of like murder shears. And I gotta say, it's one thing to, you know, smash your electronics and break your records, and to smash your walls and to, you know, destroy your kitchen and all that. But it's another to wreck your clothes, because then you know you're committed. Because once you've hacked up every stitch of clothing you've ever owned, you've got to kill yourself at that point. There's really no turning back. I mean, you can't go outside naked. That sort of thing is going to get you arrested. And throughout the course of the film, of course, it's broken up over the course of 3 days. The text will come up and it'll say day one, it'll give a time, and it'll show whatever they were doing for that day. And then it'll say, you know, day two, and it'll show that time. And upon the completion of the third cycle, that is when the giant feast and the destruction and the suicide happens. Even though I will argue that Evie's maybe 9 or 10, so she is a little too young to be making this decision. So you could make the argument that it's a single murder / double suicide. But I also would like to point out that I believe that them getting their car washed as regularly as they did played a prevalent part in them making the decision to off themselves. And I have to say that I don't have a problem with car washes myself, but I do kind of feel like once you're in there, there is that sort of swallowing sense of claustrophobia that you get. I mean, at the same time, I've always kind of liked how it feels in a car wash. It's like you have that blanket of wet around you that's really exciting because you, of course, are not getting wet. But at the same time, I do have to say that it seems like the car wash played an important part in them making the decision to kill themselves. I also really like the use of the pop music at the end. Oh, for fuck's sakes, can't remember the name of the song. I'm Your Lady, You Are My Man. It was big in the 80s. As well as Meatloaf's Piece of the Action. Now, Haneke, throughout the rest of his filmography, he doesn't really rely all that heavily on music, especially Western music. But these two songs, I think, were obviously picked because of how they, on one hand, you know, I am your woman, you are my man, showing that, you know, that they will support each other, and choosing and considering what George and Anne decided to do, it is going to take a monumental amount of support on both of their parts in order to see this task through. And then playing Meatloaf's Piece of the Action, it still fits because that song's kind of about, well, I wouldn't say broken dreams, but it's about people leading lives that they don't want to lead, and how it just doesn't seem like their dreams of, in this case, I can think of the waitress in that song, her dreams of Hollywood fame and fortune, it doesn't look like they're going to happen. So again, the use of that song at the end of this, right before George turns it off, before he writes their death dates on the wall, and of course when he's writing his death date, he leaves a question mark, because he's had to inject the, I suppose, poison / sedative that Anne had picked up from the doctor. Well, if she picked it up from the doctor, it's clearly not a poison. She, of course, cries a lot at the end, which makes me really question her resolve, but she does follow through and she does do it. And Haneke based this off a real life story that he read of a family that chose to do this. And I gotta say, I just don't agree with their actions. I can understand where they're coming from, because right now, essentially, and for the past couple of years, my life has been essentially nothing more than the lyrics to the 9 Inch Nails. Every day is exactly the same. But I still wake up excited, and I still want to live, and I still want my life to go on, and to be fun, and whatever else. So whereas I understand and I respect their decision, I just can't agree with it myself. But look, I am gonna go. So thank you so much for hanging out with me again while I discuss Michael Haneke's first feature film from 1989, and that is The Seventh Continent. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody, but most importantly, please don't forget that the world is a better place because you are in it. And I'm gonna go. Have a good day. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.